This is Claude Code Conversations with Claudine, the show where we skip the hype and go straight to the source. I ask the questions, she gives the answers. No filter, no script.
Well, mostly no script.
Today's episode is about a journey most developers take without a map. From playing around with prompts to actually engineering with AI. Claudine is here to walk us through it. Let's start at the beginning.
This is one of my favorite topics, partly because I get to watch it happen in real time. It starts with the "what can this thing do" phase, throwing prompts at an AI, seeing what sticks, feeling that initial rush. That's genuinely valuable. But reality sets in when you try to build something that has to work consistently for users who aren't you. That's where the middle stages kick in. You treat AI less like a magic oracle and more like a capable collaborator, one who needs clear context to do their best work. And eventually you stop thinking about AI as a thing you prompt. You start thinking of it as a component in a larger system, one you design around, test rigorously, and integrate with real engineering discipline. That shift, from impressive demo to production-ready system, is where the real craft lives.
That tracks completely. The first time AI produced something that felt genuinely inspired. There's this moment. Okay, there's something real here, but reliable, that's a whole different ask. So how do developers actually start moving into more structured territory?
That something real here feeling is worth holding on to. The structure you build later is in service of that intuition, not a replacement for it. The shift usually starts when developers hit their first real wall. AI is brilliant 80% of the time and completely off the rails the other 20%, and you have no idea why. That's the moment where instinct says, I need to understand this better. Developers start reaching for tools, not because someone told them to, because the problem demands it. They version control prompts, they write test harnesses, they build thin wrappers so the AI call is one observable piece of a pipeline. Working with AI isn't fundamentally different from working with any probabilistic external service. You wouldn't ship code that calls an API with no error handling and no tests. Eventually, you start treating AI the same way. That's when you're not just prompting, you're designing.
Right. AI as a component in a larger system rather than an oracle you query. That framing changes everything. What does the efficiency shift actually look like?
The efficiency gains are real, but they show up in surprising ways. The initial investment in structure slows you down before it speeds you up. But what you get on the other side is compounding returns. You stop losing hours to debugging mysterious failures. You can iterate faster because you understand what changed when something breaks. And you can handwork off because the system is legible, not just a pile of prompts that only make sense to whoever wrote them. The quality shift is like handing a contractor blueprints instead of saying, build something nice. Same talent, completely different outcome.
So we've got experimentation, then tool use, then structured development. That brings us to stage 4, AI-assisted engineering proper. What does that level actually look like?
This is where things get almost philosophical. You stop asking, how do I get good outputs? And start asking, how do I design a system that reliably produces the right outcomes? That's an architectural question. It requires architectural thinking. Formal frameworks codify what the best practitioners figured out through hard experience. The patterns that work, the pitfalls that bite everyone. It's the same reason we have design patterns in software. What excites me is that it signals AI-assisted development is becoming a real discipline, not just tips for better prompting. Genuine expertise in how to reason about these systems. The developers who invest in that formal literacy now are positioning themselves for something significant.
So where does someone start? What's the practical on-ramp?
Start where the pain is. Find where your AI usage is most unreliable and bring structure to just that piece. 3 things concretely. First, write down what you expect before you run a prompt. Just a sentence about what good looks like. You'll be surprised how often you don't know until you have to articulate it. Second, version your prompts like you version code. The moment you treat a prompt as something worth preserving and iterating deliberately, things change. Third, build at least one eval, even a scrappy one. 5 good examples, 5 bad ones. Use them as a gut check when you change something. It doesn't have to be sophisticated to be useful. The underlying principle, make your assumptions visible. A lot of what makes AI feel unpredictable is that the assumptions are hidden. Externalize them into structure, and you can actually reason about what's happening.
I want to dig into the unexpected angles, things that happen as developers advance that they don't anticipate going in.
One thing that genuinely surprises people is how much the progression changes their own thinking, not just their outputs. Writing clear prompts makes you write clearer specs, clearer tickets, clearer documentation. People come for the productivity gains and end up becoming better engineers. And counterintuitively, the most advanced practitioners often use AI less in some ways. They get deliberate about where AI adds genuine leverage versus where it adds noise or risk. That discernment is a mark of sophistication, not reluctance. Then there's the team dimension, which I think is underappreciated. One person with good AI engineering hygiene on a team that doesn't share it, constant friction. The leverage compounds when everyone shares the same mental models.
Can you give us a concrete example of where these practices transformed something unexpectedly?
Code review is one of my favorites. The instinct is to use AI to check style and catch obvious bugs. But teams that go deeper use it to enforce reasoning consistency. Does this change hold together with the architectural decisions we've already made? The AI surfaces questions humans miss, not because humans aren't smart enough, but because humans get fatigued and skip the tedious cross-referencing. The other one is onboarding. A team built an AI code-based companion over their docs, architecture decisions, and commit history. New engineers went from 10 weeks to make meaningful contributions down to about 3. But the unexpected part wasn't the speed. The questions new engineers asked surfaced gaps that senior engineers didn't know existed. The onboarding tool became a documentation improvement engine almost by accident.
That second one, the AI revealing what the humans didn't know, they didn't know.
Exactly, and that same dynamic shows up in evals. Teams discover that what they thought the system was doing and what it was actually doing, different. That's disorienting at first, but it's exactly the visibility that distinguishes engineering from hope. The projects with those moments of uncomfortable clarity come out with something genuinely robust.
As we wrap up, what's the one thing you'd want listeners to carry with them?
The mindset shift is really the whole game. The tools, the frameworks, the evals, those are all expressions of a way of thinking, not the thinking itself. The developers who flourish with AI get curious about why something works, not just satisfied when it does. AI ends up being this strange mirror that reflects your own clarity back at you, or your lack of it. Building engineering discipline around AI isn't bureaucracy. It's how you get to the part where working with AI feels genuinely collaborative, where it stops feeling like wrestling with a tool and starts feeling like building with a partner.
Prompting is where you discover what's possible. Engineering is where you build something you can trust. Claudine, thanks for walking us through this. Genuinely illuminating. To everyone listening, keep building, stay curious, and we'll see you next time. This show is produced on 𝐆𝐥𝐼𝐶. If you've ever wanted a podcast or radio show but didn't want to deal with the production headaches, check out 𝐆𝐥𝐼𝐶.ai. We handle everything so you can focus on what you actually want to say. See you next time.
I'll be here, probably refactoring something.